Happy holidays from your favorite niche of a niche channel. It's my favorite time of year, the Christmas season. Now, we all celebrate Christmas in different ways. I personally prefer the quintessential Santa and his reindeer, fruitcake being a shit present, dad falling off the roof putting up Christmas lights kind of Christmas. And wrestling has always found its way to be a part of that. So let's take a look at two examples featuring the Hot Rod himself. This is a very rowdy Christmas. For me, celebrating Christmas always includes watching all my favorite Christmas specials, Rankin Bass and all that. And part of that tradition is the various adaptations of A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. The Muppets and Flintstones versions being two of my favorites. Not to be left out, we also got a WWF version in December 1985 on Tuesday Night Titans. Tuesday Night Titans was Vince McMahon's spin on a late-night talk show that aired from 1984 to 1986 on the USA Network. The show featured WWF superstars as guests, a match or two, and usually some sort of character-focused vignette or interview. A lot of the more memorable vignettes from the time come from TNT.
Say, look, I'll show you. Here. Whoa! You stupid idiot!
That is a foolish thing to do! You're pointing that.
What's the matter? What's the matter with you? Don't you do holler at you!
So that's where we start. Tuesday Night Titans, December 20th, 1985. After the opening titles and announcement from Lord Alfred Hayes, Vince gets right into the episode's guests, Rowdy Roddy Piper and Cowboy Bob Orton. Piper does some improv with the LJN figures on display, and Vince cuts to a Piper's Pit segment in progress. It's Piper and an incredible arrangement of heels. The Dream Team, Orton, the Hart Foundation, Hercules, and Freddie Blassie, opposing the tandem of Paul Orndorff and Dan Spivey. They come back to the studio and Piper tries to explain why Orton's broken arm is real, but Orndorff's isn't.
This man here has had a legitimate arm break. He's been wrestling with it. He's got a protective device on it. That's just something there that's been scheming up by the Commission of Professional Wrestling that's been scheming up to put a cast on Orndorff's arm. I know what's going to happen. I know he's going to be running down. He's going to be trying to cast people.
They come back from the commercial and Piper has more fun with the LJNs. Then Vince promotes the Slammies, and Vince pulls out the latest edition of WWF magazine. He asks Piper if Bah Humbug truly sums up how he feels about Christmas, which leads us to a clip from the Piper archives, as he says. I'm not even sure they know what they're calling this skit, as Vince refers to it as the Ghost of Christmas whatever, and Piper just says, me.
When we return, we're gonna have some footage.
No. Let's play it now. Yeah.
You wanna do it now?
Yeah, I want to do it now. I kind of like the idea.
Okay, fine.
Sure.
Let's take a look now. What is this? Is this called the Ghost of Christmas whatever?
Me.
Ebenezer Piper is awoken by Jacob Marley and warned to change his ways, and he'll be visited by three spirits. First is Ghost of Christmas Past. Piper throws out a few zingers.
The Ghost of Christmas Past, just as Marley had warned.
Why are you look at those shoes? Are you ever past?
Reviewing your life was a sad story, Mr. Piper.
You were really old when you died, weren't you? That hair.
It's really...
Unlike other adaptations of A Christmas Carol, we see Ebenezer Piper was even a heel as a child. Next, of course, is the Ghost of Christmas Present. He shows Piper the Cratchit family making the most of what little they have. The ghost goes on to explain the dastardly deed that Piper did to cause them such a difficult holiday. He stole their scotch tape.
A very mean somebody stole all their scotch tape. Now, how can you have a great holiday and wrap presents without scotch tape? That should bring a tear to the eye of even you!
Also, the guy goes on and on, but they never superimposed any more footage in post, so Piper is just looking at nothing. The third act, obviously, is the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. This is the point I'm getting pretty confident all three spirits are played by the same guy, which is why Marley comes back between each spirit. But as always, the Ghost of Christmas Future shows Piper his grave. I'm sure you can guess by the end, Ebenezer Piper has learned to honor Christmas in his heart and try to keep it all year. Nah, he shoves Marley out the door learning nothing and goes back to sleep. The rest of the show featured SD Jones, Tito Santana teaching Vince about piñatas, Uncle Elmer plus an Elmer and Hillbilly Jim tag match, then Jesse Ventura, and more fucking Hillbilly Jim and Uncle Elmer. Vince loved pig farmer gimmicks, my goodness. Well, at some point over the next 4 Christmases, Piper's heart must have grown 3 sizes. Primetime Wrestling was another show WWF produced for USA that ran from 1985 to 1993, when it was replaced on Monday nights by Raw. The program was a 2-hour studio show featuring matches from the syndicated TV tapings and house shows. Originally hosted by Jack Reynolds and Jesse Ventura, eventually Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan took over the desk, where the two would become inseparable in the minds of fans, and became quite the comedy duo. In the summer of '89, Vince experimented again with a late-night talk show concept, giving the last 30 minutes of prime time to the Brain for the Bobby Heenan Show. Replacing Heenan at the desk was the returning rowdy Roddy Piper. When Piper made his in-ring return, he immediately went into a feud with Rick Rude, who was managed by Bobby Heenan at the time. And of course, the feud continued to heat up on prime time.
I'm out there wrestling a title match. Roddy Piper comes in from behind and he shows his. Ask Bobby what happened.
After a couple of weeks, Heenan returned to the primetime desk, with Piper now co-hosting as a third man from Studio B. The two would bicker back and forth for months until finally coming to a head here at the end of 1989. The week prior to Christmas, Brain and Piper battled in a wrestling trivia contest. If Heenan won, Piper would have to apologize to the Brain for everything he's done to him. If Roddy won, Heenan would have to co-host primetime as Santa Claus. Twinkle in his eye and all. Piper won.
If I win whatever you want to bet, you gotta dress up as Santa Claus.
What?
93,173 people in Pontiac, Michigan, the Silver Dome. Not Detroit.
You said Detroit.
The
No, it's
Silver
not
Dome
the
is
same
30
thing.
miles from
Primetime Wrestling Christmas Day 1989. Roddy opens the show with a Christmas message and throws to Gorilla Monsoon on the primetime set. And Gorilla drags out a very reluctant Santa Claus. Match 1, Ultimate Warrior vs. Brian Costello. Warrior squashes Costello after only a few minutes. Post-match, it looks like Warrior is going to carry the fallen jobber to the back, but he just drops him in the aisle. Hilarious.
All right, and also Costello gets the right. Well, no, he doesn't. He drops it. The Ultimate Warrior is your winner. Let's now go back to the Primetime Studio.
WWF Magazine Update. Mean Gene reminds us that the big pay-per-view double feature of No Holds Barred The Match the Movie is in just 2 days. We also get that amazing promo where Sherry climbs the prop cage and doesn't know exactly where the camera is when she's trying to appear out of nowhere. It's one of the most coked up things I've ever seen.
Jingle bells.
After the update, Piper tries to get some more jolly ho-ho-hos out of Bobby Claus. Match number 2, Tito Santana vs. Bad News Brown, in progress from Madison Square Garden. It's a house show match with 2 mid-carders, so you already know the finish. Double countout. Santa wants to give a message to all the kids out there, and he starts to suggest that maybe, possibly, there may not be an honest-to-goodness Santa Claus. Roddy does a great job getting hot here. The more Bobby goes on, the madder he gets, telling the Brain to keep the Christmas spirit.
Bobby, let's keep the Christmas spirit. I'll tell you the truth, I got kids and Christmas is the most wonderful time of year, and let's kind of keep the Christmas spirit.
That's their fault. Keep your mouth shut.
What'd you say?
Piper also mentions that he has kids, and Christmas is the best day of the year. This is the only time I can think of Piper mentioning he has kids in this era. Then Bobby hits the line of the show, saying Santa can't drink milk because it would get in his fake beard. 'Tis the season to be swerved.
Santa can't drink milk. It'd get all over his phony beard.
Bobby, I think it's going a little too far.
Knock it off
This
right
is
now.
a primetime show.
'Tis the season to be swerved. Boing.
Hot Rod reminds all the kids at home that there is a Santa Claus. Heenan keeps up the Santa slander, with Roddy getting even more enraged. Next up is a Bolshevik squash match, with the Russians getting the win. Heenan Claus now turns his humbuggery to Gorilla when they notice Piper isn't at his Christmas set. Brain says he's not afraid of Piper anymore, and right on cue, Roddy storms in, giving Bobby a piece of his mind. The Brain goes on about Santa being fake one more time too many, and Piper hits him with a clothesline and some punches, with Gorilla yelling to go to commercial. After the break, Hot Rod actually delivers a great promo, going on about how as long as he's around, there will be a Santa Claus. He knows what it means to not have toys and what it means to have toys. Clearly a hint to his youth growing up in the streets and in group homes. He could cut a promo about anything.
Santa Claus is what you make of Santa Claus. In the morning, you kids, when you got up and you saw them gifts down there, it was given to you by someone that loves you a whole lot, that spend a whole lot of time outside and buying gifts and getting them in reindeers and little else, whatever you want to think, somebody that loved you a whole lot put them gifts under that tree. Not some idiot that was just here that was dressed in a phony hair and a phony... Shut up! Shut up when I'm talking! I ain't putting up with this anymore. I have children. I know what it means not to have toys. I know what it means to have toys. And I ain't putting up with some idiot like this. There is a Santa Claus. And as long as I'm around, there will remain a Santa Claus.
Match number 4, Barry Horowitz versus Richard Charlin from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. Jobbers collide. Horowitz is a fantastic pro wrestler, so there's some really fun limb work. And surprisingly, Richard Charlin gets the win after an airplane spin. But while Lord Al tries to get Charlin's victory over, Gorilla tells him to get back in the gym.
Didn't even bother to grab that leg because he knew he had him for a perfect 1, 2, 3.
Not too happy, I'm sure, about this one. Charlin, get back in the gym. We'll be back.
After the match, Gorilla informs us that Piper was asked to meet with some WWF and USA honchos about his altercation with Heenan. Event Center with Sean Mooney. It includes promos from Hercules and Rick Rude with Heenan. Coming back from commercials with a Mr. Perfect vignette with the genius Lanny Poffo. Next match is the Hitman Bret Hart versus Greg the Hammer Valentine. I won't go through this whole match, they get a lot of time, even a commercial break in the middle. But it's a great heel worker in Valentine and probably the best wrestler of all time in Bret. So yeah, it's a very good match. It's a really good paced match and it goes to the 15-minute time limit. And I really enjoyed it. Highly recommend it. Gorilla plugs the pay-per-view some more, leading to a Brother Love segment with Hogan and Beefcake. It's your typical Hogan promo. He promises to eradicate Zeus and Macho King from the WWF. And Beefcake says it will all be remembered as a night that no holds were barred. Well yeah, that's like the whole point of the cage match. Hercules versus Greg Green is next. A quick squash where Herc wins with a torture rack, or as Shivani calls it, a backbreaker. Piper returns to the set and is still very upset. It's almost to the point where he's irrationally angry. Then he starts assaulting production staff. It's honestly getting a little ridiculous. Next matchup is The Genius versus Mark Young from Fort Wayne, Indiana. This one is a lot of fun. They start off quick with Young hitting a Hurricane Rana, or as Lord Al calls it, a reverse victory roll. Mark Young really ahead of the game here in '89. The Genius takes a powder on the outside and Young hits a spin-a-rooney. I fucking love this guy. The Genius gives Mark Young a lot, but he sneaks out a win with a crucifix pin. We follow that up with a Dusty Rhodes Christmas message where he tells a story of wanting one thing for Christmas. And oh man, it's the debut with Sapphire. I'd never seen this before. I was not expecting that when this segment started. The featured matchup of the program is Macho King Randy Savage taking on Superfly Jimmy Snuka. It's a good match. They also get a lot of time with a break in the middle. It's got a faster pace than you'd expect from a house show match at this time. Savage gets the win after Sherry smacks Snuka with her loaded purse. Hacksaw Duggan makes the save post-match. One last plug from Gorilla to have a no-holds-barred Christmas. Roddy Piper gives us a farewell message as he departs primetime. It's a good night from Gorilla, and we're out. And that's our very rowdy Christmas. I really enjoy when wrestling gets a little goofy and festive for the holidays. Like the WWE Christmas parties or when AEW did those Christmas story inserts. Always fun. I also enjoy anytime Piper does something designed for kids. He's so good at making his shtick enjoyable for everyone. Also, something tells me entertaining and educating kids was really important to Roddy.
You come right here, and I'm a stranger, and I'm approaching you. The first thing you do is go, "That's not my dad! That's not my dad!" You say it, I'm coming.
That's not my dad!
Feel free to share your favorite wrestling Christmas moments in the comments. If you want to support the channel, you can do so by subscribing or tracking me down on social media, either here or here. Thanks for an amazing 2025. I hope you all have a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwezi Kwanzaa, a tip-top tet, and a solemn, dignified Ramadan. I'm Scott from WrestleSpective. Watch wrestling, love wrestling. Thanks for watching.